it is important for you to have that deep breathing system. So when you're exhaling, you are able to engage your core. Welcome to the third episode of the Becky Choi's podcast shows. Yay! I'm so excited you're back here listening to this, and really thank you for spending some time with me today. So today we are going to talk about diastasis and especially about deep breathing. And what is such a big deal about breathing, and why is breathing such an important component to healing your diastasis? So I really wish that I know what breathing, what deep breathing really meant. You know how when you know that you have diastasis, the first quick reaction is like, okay, what exercise do I need to do? Give me that magic exercise. Give me the sets, the reps. Just give me those exercises and I'll do them. And, I will get my body, I'll get the core strengthened again. I wanted to get my body, the diastasis healed. But actually, you don't think about deep breathing. You don't think about the way you're breathing. We all breathe, right? We all breathing. Me talking to you, you listening to this, we are breathing. Like, what's such a big deal about this? So that's why I wanted to spend some time with you talking about this, because when I learned what deep breathing is all about, I was able to connect the dots. I was able to have that missing link while I was trying to be on my own journey a couple of years ago and even until now. And I was trying to figure out why are all these exercises are not working, not that effectively. They were working, but I know that there was something more that I could do. And breathing was really the reason behind all of these exercises, why it didn't work so effectively. So let's dive right in. Now, you might be thinking, okay, what's so big deal about breathing, right? So I wanted to tell you that every postnatal woman lost connections with their deep breathing system after giving birth. Just imagine your baby at around 40 weeks or even 38 weeks postpartum. It's huge. Your stomach is huge. Your baby is pushes up onto your ribs cage. Your belly button is the most pointiest part of the body, and you have a baby inside, so your organ is squished. Your organs and your just everything is moved all over in the body. So it is really hard for you to have a deep breathing, right? While you were pregnant, you most likely would become like a chest breathing, because that's how much the breath can go into your body. So for the last few weeks, or at least the last few months of your pregnancy, when your belly gets so big, you just can't get a good deep inhale into your body. So then your body is so used to that chest breathing, that fast breathing pattern. So even after you give birth, you are still going to have that fast or that breathing system that it's not going to be that deep inhale that you're supposed to be able to do before pregnancy. So I wanted to tell you, how sometimes you're complaining, maybe you have back pain and you have shoulders and chest pain, and maybe you're leaking a little bit. And one of the biggest thing to healing for your diastasis is really learning how to have this deep breathing. So how can we reconnect our mind to this muscles connections? How can we connect this breathing into our body again? So I was just saying, when your body was squished around and your organs were squished around, so you lost that connections, right? After giving birth, you're still in that habitual breathing. So there are two types of breathing you could notice yourself, and I really want you to look at how you're breathing right now. And I'm talking about deep breathing. I'm not talking about just every day when you're sitting listening to me, that kind of breathing. But take a good deep inhale for me and look at the mirror beside you. Go to a mirror, maybe a full body mirror. That might be better for you while you're listening to this if you can. And then take a look at how you're deep breathing. Do you notice that is this just your chest, just your shoulders rising up to your shoulders when you're having that deep inhale? Or is it just moving to your belly? Is your belly expanding like a balloon? Is your belly pushing out, bulging out as you're inhaling? So those are two different kinds of breathing. The first one I was talking about was a chest breathing, a chest shoulders breathing. The second one is a belly breathing. And what's so big deal about that? Because when you are having a chest and neck breathing, I bet that your shoulders and you have some neck pain around that area because your body is constantly on a fight and flight mode. It's always just trapped around that upper chest area. That breath isn't able to go into your system, into the center of your body. It's always trapped around the chest area. So you're always in that, you're straining your neck, your chest and your neck and shoulders area is keep constantly rising up. So your body is like telling you, okay, I need to relax, but you keep moving me up and I need to relax. So you're going to have some shoulder pain, I bet. Now, the other way would be like a belly breathing. So if you're looking at yourself, maybe you're lying down on the floor and you're breathing, and you might notice, and this is me, like you might notice that your belly is pushing out like a balloon. You're breathing and all you see is your belly rising up a lot higher than the rest of your body. So that's called the belly breathing, like when you're inhaling, all that breath goes straight into your belly, and which is common, especially if you have a severe diastasis, when your core muscle is really weak, when you have a lot of loose skin, the abdominal wall is really stretched out. It's common for that breath, it has to go to the weakest point of your body. Just think about you have a garbage bag, like a disposable bag, and a chip bag, like, you know, the chips, like the one you buy in the groceries. If you're putting pressure into the bag, the disposable bag would balloon out more versus the bags of the chip, right? Because the bag of the chips needs that, it's more rigid, it won't inflate as much. But if you have that garbage bag, it's loose, the material is thinner, that breath, like any pressure is going to go into that area all around. I'm trying to describe that as the belly, because it is, especially if you're newly postpartum or if you have pretty severe diastasis where you have like a 3-4 fingers gap or just a lot of loose skin, you will see that balloon out. Okay, so enough of that breathing, the belly breathing and the chest breathing. You know that either way, they don't do that good for you. Also, you know, when you have that belly breathing, you are also going to feel some back pain, I bet, because when you're always constantly breathing to the front, right, your body, your back, always, your lower back always has to compensate. You know, it has to pull you upright when you're sitting, it has to pull you upright when you're standing. So it's always working overtime for you when you're breathing into that belly, because it's constantly pushing outward, bulging outward, and your back has to balance you, right, to pull you upright so you can stand on your feet. So it has to balance you, and so your back is always working overtime and it's always really tight, and that's why you feel that back pain. So how does a good breathing system look like or work for you? Some people would call this a connection breath, and some people would call it a 360-degree breathing. Some people would call this like a diaphragm breathing. So I tell my client, I call this 360-degree breathing. You wanted to be able to inhale, but being able to circulate that breath all around your body, not just your chest, not just on your shoulders area, not just your belly. We need to be able to breathe onto the side of the ribs and most importantly to your back, and which is really, sometimes it's really hard to get there when the weakest point is in the front, right? But like I was saying, the belly. So we need to learn how to have that good 360-degree inhale, so that breath is circulating all around when you're taking that inhale. And we have to practice various exercises to help you with this breathing, to help you with the deep breathing. And that's what I teach my clients in my Tummy Warrior coaching program. But just for you to know, it is important for you to have that deep breathing system. So when you're exhaling, you are able to engage your core. You're able to lift the pelvic floor muscles. So there are a couple of things when it comes to deep inhaling and why you might not be able to have that breath all around 360 degrees is that sometimes you might be unconsciously, maybe you already know, maybe you're drawing in your belly buttons area. So because I understand it is kind of sometimes like, oh, I just wanted to suck my belly in, and so I look flatter, or like maybe you are purposely using a waist trainer or like some clothing garments to like tighten up that area. So you're always squeezing the belly button. But when you're constantly sucking the belly button or squeezing that belly button with a really tight, like a yoga pants or some sort, then you're interfering with that inhale, because when you're taking that inhale again, you're squeezing that area, which is where your diaphragm sits. That diaphragm isn't able to expand downward. When you're inhaling, your diaphragm should expand downward on your body, and then your pelvic floor should relax. But when you're constantly squeezing and unconsciously squeezing and become habitual for you, when you're taking that inhale, that diaphragm is not able to go down. So then when you're engaging, you're not going to be able to engage your pelvic floor muscles, your lower core muscles. And so then you're wondering, why is that belly pooching? Why is that lower belly pooch is still there? Like nothing is moving when I'm trying to engage more, because you're already unconsciously engaging and like drawing in that belly button. And also one thing to point out there, when you're consciously engaging or sucking your belly button without knowing, you're unable to relax your pelvic floor muscles because you're always so tight down there. It could make you have some leaking, incontinence, because when your pelvic floor muscles, just look at your fist. So clench your fist very hard for me. Now imagine this is your pelvic floor, and when you're clenching your fist and you wanted to breathe to open this a little bit, but when you're clenching it so hard and you're trying to breathe into it, it only opens up a little bit, right? Your fingers only open up a little bit. It's not able to fully open when you take that good inhale, diaphragm goes down, relax your pelvic floor muscles. You're not able to fully open, look at your fingers, you're not able to fully open all your fingers wide open. It's always going to be halfway for you. When you are constantly sucking that belly button, or you're not able to fully relax your pelvic floor muscles, you're always like tucking your bum under, or like you're always clenching your bum. So that's another way to explain it as well. You're always having a really tight pelvic floor muscles. So we need to relax those pelvic floor muscles when you're inhaling, so that will actually going to help you with your leaking, with your incontinence. And then your poor posture could be a major factor into how you're breathing as well. If you're arching your back, or if you're slouching your upper back, that breathing when you're inhaling, that breath isn't really able to go circulate as well. Like especially, let's say if you are arching your lower back, your ribs are like flared out and you're arching on your back because that belly is hanging forward. You can imagine when you're breathing, that breath is constantly sending to your chest area, like sending out toward the ribs area. Look at yourself if you have a mirror beside you. Because you're arching your upper back, your breath is always constantly just trying to exit out, like where your upper chest area is, right underneath your sternum, above your belly buttons area. So this is another reason why you could have a more stretchier and upper diastasis recti, because your breath is always constantly trying to go to that area. That breath is trying to escape to that area, or trying to breathe into that area. So when you're trying to heal your upper diastasis, you're breathing that way, then it's constantly on a tug of war, right? So that's why we need to have a really good breathing system. So then when you're having good breathing system, you're not going to be in that fight and flight response mode for your body. You can lengthen your body, you can let go of everything, let go of the tensions, let go of that pelvic floor and tensions down there, so you can actually release everything, relax, and then you're able to engage and lift your pelvic floor muscles. I will leave that engaging your transverse abdominal muscles, which is the deep core muscles, on another episode, but I just wanted to point out how important that breathing is, because when you're having a good breathing system, when you're having a good inhale, first of all, you would be able to have a really nice exhale, and when you're exhaling, you'll be able to engage and draw in your belly button and engage that core muscle, so then you can actually bring your belly toward the bony landmark of your body frame, so which is then you can, at that time, you will see a flattened stomach, and that's why at that time then you can strengthen and continue to strengthen and train and train that core muscle, so that they can become firm and toned up for you, instead of being so relaxed and like hanging forward, right? So I really want you to take this episode and maybe re-listen to it, but go beside a mirror and take a look and see how you're breathing right now. Are you a chest breathing, and which is sometimes we call it a shallow breathing? Are you always just shallow breathing on your shoulders and your chest area, or are you a belly breather? Any inhale is going straight into your belly. It's actually easier for you to tell, especially if you have a belly breathing, when you're lying on your bed or when you're lying on the floor and you take that deep inhale, then you will really see beside that mirror, wow, like your belly is really coming out a lot more, coming higher, a lot higher than the rest of your body. And this was really me. When I saw this the first time, I'm like, wow, like my belly was just like ballooning out. Like it was crazy to see it because I didn't realize it was that bad for me. So that's once I was able to learn a good 360-degree inhale, then I was able to engage my core muscles so much better. I feel so much better on my back, and my posture even look better. I look taller and just look so much more confident in general. So I really encourage you, do this homework with me and let me know if you're chest breathing or if you are a belly breather, and connect with me on Instagram, Becky Choi _ and let me know what you are. I would love to know and chat with you more about it. And Instagram is always where I hang out and I share some of the mini educational posts and just behind the scene with my kids and motherhood. So I would love to connect with you there and knowing about your situations. All right, that's all I have for this episode, and I'll talk to you next one. Bye bye.